Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make these Catherine bows, and these are made using a die, a hair dye bow cut template, which will be this one here, and a Big Shot Sizzix machine, which I will show you in a few minutes. But with this was gifted to me by Melissa from AlyBella's Bows and Craft Supplies, because she was inspired to create this die by watching my original equestrian template bow tutorial, and that's where she got the idea to do these layered wrap versions and also these layered versions like this. And this particular style makes 4 different versions. So you've got the standard tails down ribbon look in a die format, and this is a 3.25 inch version, which is about 5.5 inches long, and then you get the slightly smaller version, which is 3 inches by 5, so like that. And the tails, you can sort of adjust them so they sit more flared, or like I said, slightly more tailed down. Then you can stack them on top of each other and do a layered version like this one with the design at the back and the pop of glitter at the front. And then you can do these wrap versions where you've got the pop of the colour of the larger bow with the smaller one wrapped around, and that gives you these looks. So I'm going to get my Sizzix Big Shot for me in a minute, and from 2 sheets of material with this die as well, to help you get the pinches to begin with, I would recommend this really fine glitter, because it's easier to pinch, and canvas material. You can do it with leatherette, but the pinches are a lot harder. So when you are first starting, or when you're first practicing, or if you want to get the best look for this particular style, I would recommend the thinner glitters, or like I said, canvas material. And you can find beautiful combinations from multiple different suppliers, and I'll link some in the descriptions below for you, along with AlyBella's link and group for you to join if you want to look at more bow dies of similar designs, because she's got a fantastic range of all different styles, and like I said, lots of different versions, a few of which I'll be doing tutorials on in the future. So if you give me a minute, I'm just going to pause while I grab my Big Shot. So it's back. This is part of my Big Shot machine. You won't be able to see all of it, but basically it is this die cut machine. I'll show you some more of it here with the handle at the side. Mine is a Big Shot Plus, because for this particular die you will need a Big Shot Plus version, and I've also got the Big Shot Plus bigger plates for the die to fit through. From the 2 pieces of material, because like I said, I like to have like the print, and I also like to have the like glitter to give you more pop. You can get at least 3 bows from the 2 sheets. So with your die, what you do is plate 1, place this on. Now, for some people, they can cut out each individual bit of the die and use less material. For me, I have dyspraxia. If I do that, I tend to lose a lot of fabric, because it will shift, and like the tails won't cut properly, or part of the body of the thing will do. So once you've got the hang of it, or if you're someone who's better and not so like naturally clumsy, then you might have better luck cutting it and doing it individually and doing like different pieces. The other thing to think of when you're looking at any designs, whether or not you're using leatherette or canvas, make sure you've got a landscape pattern for this one, because for the tails and the body, especially the top part of the bow, you'll need something where you can see the pattern in that nice way. So think of that when you're doing your designs, because a lot of the canvas ones and a lot of them at the moment are quite portrait, so do think on that when you're buying for this particular die. So we've got the materials. Because they are very thin, you can do the 2 layers at once, and this is what I do to be able to do a few bows at a time. Is once you've got that in, line up your plates accordingly. Told you, it's even shifted when I put it in the machine, because like I said, that's how candid I can be. And then you turn your handle, and basically the pressure from the plates and the die cut section, put the pressure on the cuts in the die, and that crunching noise that you just heard. Give me a second, I'm going to move this out of the way. So the crunching noise that you just heard a moment ago was me die cutting the pieces. And like I said, you do get waste, but what I tend to do is I tend to cut them all out and use them for individual projects. You can use them for snap clips, you can use them for other centerpieces and things like that. So I'm going to put that to the side for 1 minute. And then from this, you get the 2 wider tails, because I've done 2 sheets, 2 smaller tails, 2 of the bigger top pieces, and 2 of the smaller, and 2 centre wraps. I'll put that out of the way. We're also going to move the other plate. So this one, I am going to do a wrap style, and I want it so that this colour is at the top. So let's work out which ones I need. So there we go. And as I said, if you wanted to do 2 wrap versions, you could do a wrap with the purple on the top and a wrap with the multicolour. If you wanted to take this and make a smaller glitter and a larger pattern, you get 3. If you want to do 2 wraps, you get 2 bows. So think of it like that, because like I said, it depends on what's going to be more efficient for you and what works better. But for me, to do this, I'm going to trim this down, because some canvas does fray just the tiniest bit. If that ever happens, cut it down and just give it a little seal with your lighter, a bit like you would with ribbon. But for this particular one, I fold it in half to find the exact centre, and I'm going to do the exact same on this smaller piece. So fold it dead in half, so I've got that crease, and I'm going to put a bit of glue on this one. You don't want a lot, you want it enough to stick it down, but not so much it's going to like bulk it up when you're doing your pinches in a minute. So like I said, just a touch, and then layer it on right on the centre of the original one. And as you can see, you've got a little bit of peep either side, and they're about even on both the ends. And then we are going to make sure our creases is very easy to do. And then the other thing that I do is at the ends here, sorry, knocking my lights, is thin, but enough to completely glue it down firmly, because we don't want this to come loose when we're putting the pinches in a minute. And again, generous amount, but thin. And the other thing is when I am pushing it down, I'm very firm, and I use the heat from my finger to flatten it down more, so that there's no bulk, or like you know when you can feel the glue, if that makes sense. Especially if you're using a glue gun on a regular basis, you know if you've overdone the glue, you get that like lumpy feeling. You don't want to feel that lump. You want enough that you've got it securely 100% down, but like I said, not so much that you're bulking and adding too much to the bow. And like I said, don't be afraid to use the heat from your hands, and like I said, make sure that there's no lumps or bumps. Don't want lumps or bumps in our bows. And last one. There we go. And for the tail, you can play around with the tail. You can do it a few different placements. You can do the tail so it's at the bottom. You can do it so it's a bit like this to give it like a little peak. You can layer it right on the centre, so you've got a pop of purple at either side. You can do it further up. For me, I want to give it like the wrap. We're going to give it so it's got a little teeny tiny bit of purple either side to make it match more. And again, we're going to take both of these, because like I said, this style is very much like ribbon. And we're going to add a teeny bit of glue here. Like I said, remember, enough to stick it down. Don't want any lumps, because like I said, it will make pinching that much harder for us. And there we go. That one's glued nice. And before it gets lumpy, because you could already see that building there, use your thumb and your body heat to make it nice and flat. And then the first thing I do with this one is we are going to bring this into the centre, and we're going to glue each side, and then I'll show you how to actually do the pinches. Again, little extra bit of heat from you to keep your extra glue nice and flat, to make pinching easier, and make sure it's firmly stuck down. And like I said, you want to do it not right over the centre, but just before the centre crease that we've done. And if you ever need to do it so you can see, so say you're not very good at seeing that line, you can do like a faint pencil line or something that's going to be hidden to help you guide as well. But as you can see that gap where the layers are not completely over. And this is what it looks like at the minute. Now the first one I'm going to show you how to pinch on is on this, because this bit is a bit easier. But it's the same principle of what we're going to do to the centre parts in a minute. What you want to do is pinch that in the middle, and then you want to go back down onto your finger, and then back down the other side. If your tails pop up like that, that's fine. What you want is a little bit of glue here, but not too much, because you don't want it to squish out either side too much and have it where people can see when you've got your wrap on. Don't want to do that. And then on this side, from the back, let your pinches pop open a little bit from where you've just made them. You want a little bit there, and a little bit there, in those little dips that we've just made. Please don't touch the glue if you don't have fingers that can handle the pain. You know what it's like when you're a crafter. Anyone that does it for more than a few for a little bit, you get used to the feel of hot glue. We shouldn't, because it's dangerous and you could burn yourself, just like I did last week, but do be careful. And just while I'm waiting for that to dry a little bit more, I'm going to put a clip on there to hold that in place while we do this bit. Now this bit, if you ever struggle, don't be afraid to do this and do the pinches individually, rather than trying to struggle to do the pinches on this one, because it can be tricky to do the pinches, because basically what we want to do, the same as we would a ribbon bow, we still want to do the pinch in the centre and then push both pieces back. Now when they're together, some people can manage it, but some people can't. If you can't, do not be afraid, do not worry. Like I said, just cut it in half. As long as we get the style that we want in the end, it doesn't matter how we get to that point. Always remember that. And there's always one method to make things and more than one right way. So if you can do it and get the creases in without having to cut it in half, then that is fine. If you have to do it this way, that is also fine. It is much easier, especially if you're doing layers, to cut it in half. I'm going to put the dabs of glue either side there. Careful of your fingers. I'm just going to do the clip there. Just remove the glue off my hands from where that got stuck. There we go. And we'll pop it up so that we've got the creases, and then we're going to do this side, and it's exactly the same. Pinch up right in the middle, fold it back, fold it down, so that we've got this. Okay, add our glue again. And pinch. And then let the centre off a little bit, so you can add your touch of glue there. But again, put enough to be certain you're happy with that it will stay together, but not so much that, like I said, you overwhelm it. Now with this one as well, when you're putting it back together, we need to make sure we've got the pops on the outer sides. And the other thing is, for me, for extra security, you can either use these strong orthodontic elastics, or you can use thread. I'm going to actually wrap them around the right way and not undo them as I was doing then. There we go. And like I said, you can glue them, you can use the orthodontic elastics, entirely whatever works best for you. There we go. So we want to get this nice and flat against here, and pull the flares of this one a little bit out of the way. And again, you can use glue. For me, for this particular one, especially if it's layered, I do recommend these orthodontic elastics. See how strong they are for those little teeny tiny ones. And just like ribbon, I do like to give it a little bit of a, before I glue anything down permanently. There we go. I like to adjust it so it's all in line. Like this. And then I've got an alligator clip. And with this one, I'm going to do a purple centre just to give it a pop of the purple on the back. So I've got this bit. There's me dropping my glue gun. I'm determined to burn my hands today with it, or add to my burn collection. Do be more careful than I am. But as I said to you, I am naturally clumsy. It happens no matter how hard I try differently. And glue there. There we go. And if you wanted to, you can add a touch of glue to the tails to get them to, not a lot, just a teeny tiny. And again, make sure that there's no bumpy. Make sure there's no glue in places that you're going to see, and make sure that there are no bumpy bits. There we go. And like I said, the layered versions, so cute. Like I said, you can make it individually, and you can make them both individually and layer them on top of each other. And if you did want to make it just by itself without the layering, I will show you. I do a little bit of glue either side, bring them in, bring it in, bring it in, make sure there's no bulkiness. Fold our tail in half, fold the tail up, back, back, like this. So we've got a nice little 2-crease pinch, and then on this one, what I tend to do is fold it in half on one side, and then go back down and back down, so you've got the pinch on that side. Okay, and then what you can do at this side, and again, don't be afraid to cut these in half, and then this side I do the same thing, pinch in the middle, go back, go down, and then you can take your clip out of the way and push them together. And on this one, instead of gluing, use the orthodontic, or like any strong elastics, and I'll link these in the description. I get mine from Amazon. I get a box of like, it's 1,000 or 4,000 at a time. They're like £7, £8 for that amount, and they last quite a long time. And there's that. Then we're going to take a second orthodontic, make sure it's still nice and centered there. Again, make sure it's nice and centered. Take a little clip. On the back. And as I said, with our excess here, I'm going to use the original tail from the one that cut on the die cut. I'm going to use that as a guide to do the right width for the centre for this one. Or like I said, you could have cut more with your machine before you started. Whatever is easier for you. Maybe tails that way. And wrap that round, making sure you're hiding all of your elastics. And like I said, just remember, glue is never your only option when it comes to things like this. And as long as they are strong and they are not going to pop open, which they're not, or like I said, you do the glue and then add the elastics. Look how pretty they are. Like I said, so many ways. Such a cute little die. And it was from AlyBella's Bow and Craft Supplies. And thank you, Melissa, again for sending me the die for free from designing it from my original equestrian bow template. Thank you. Bye.